Hey guys, I'm Sada.
And I'm Kimmy. And you're listening to
People Who Don't Suck. A podcast introducing you to people we think are rad. And if you don't suck, then you'll think so too.
If you like us, tell your friends.
And if you don't, tell your enemies.
So you're welcome for the introduction. And thanks for tuning in to People Who Don't Suck.
Suck.
Hey, Sada.
Hi, Kimmy.
What do you call a lesbian with long nails?
Oof.
You don't know this joke? Sada, what do you call a lesbian with long nails? Single.
Oh, wow. Listen, I've always had long nails. My manicure has always been good, except for during quarantine. So
You've always had long nails?
Mhm.
Hey, all the power to you. There's those girls who have like the manicures where they chop off the two first fingers.
My roommate has that. They call it like the femme flag or whatever.
They call it the what?
Femme flagging.
Femme flagging? That's how you know.
Yeah.
You know it's a femme.
Yeah.
She's a femme when she has the two first nails cut. There's so many things.
There's so many things.
I'm so out of the loop.
My loop is life. Okay.
So what
Tell
does
me.
a lesbian bring to a second date?
A dildo.
A U-Haul.
Oh, yeah. I know that one. What the fuck? Duh.
We're so out of the loop.
They bring that one to the first date.
It is. It's a first dater. Why do you think
It
girls really do that with each other though?
Because haven't you heard the statistics? I read an article the other day that said that most likely the longest relationships are between men, so homosexual men,
Okay.
and then straight people, and then lesbians. So lesbians have a higher turnover rate, which is interesting. But I think that men, so let's think of men as an individual species who is like hypersexual, wants to have sex all the time. Like,
Yeah.
think about how men are just like, party, get it in. And then women are like, I want to have sex sometimes, but mostly I just want to nest.
Yes.
So then there's like this whole nesting thing. But then my theory about women, and it's actually, there are books written about like lesbian deathbed.
Yes. Yes.
Women turn into friendships. Like,
Right.
eventually it turns into a friend, and then they're like, oh, the spark is gone, next. And then they move on to the next one.
Okay, but also
So-
let's explain to people what lesbian deathbed is, because I feel like I have to explain this to so many people all the time, that it like, even within the lesbian community, it's considered like a myth or a legend for some, and then it's a reality for a lot of people.
It is not a myth or a legend. It's true.
It's real.
I've never even spoken to anyone who doesn't think that that's real. It happens. Like I said, they turn into, the friendship becomes much bigger than the like sexual relationship,
Yeah, I agree. And I think that women are also just like highly emotional, so it's just kind of a thing that happens.
Women become comfortable in their spaces and just want to
But
cuddle.
also I think that this is something that happens in straight relationships too. It's not just a lesbian thing. Like, I think that hetero couples also experience it.
But not the same. It can happen, but it's always because of the female. So that's like the female trait that is taken into the lesbian relationship. It's the woman, because men, they always want to have sex.
Yes, by nature, like generally.
Right.
Yeah.
So not to say that they always do if they're unhappy in a relationship or they're on medications that are not allowing them to like get a hard on. But it's usually like the female who's like, I'm tired, I don't want to right now. Like, we have hormonal changes in our body that
Mess with that.
direct that.
Yeah.
So
As someone who's been with men and with women my whole life, pretty much, I usually go in phases. Like, I don't like date men and women at the same time usually. Like, I'll go through phases where I'm like just dating women, and then through phases where I'm just dating men. And I never really liked mixing them very much. I just felt really weird about it. I think that there are differences between the two, and then also there's a lot of things that are the same, where people make a lot of generalizations when they talk to me. They'll be like, oh, all guys are like this. And I'll be like, actually, a lot of women are like that too,
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to like the whole gender fluidity and how there's like a spectrum of, I always consider myself, high femme, which is like the top of the spectrum of being feminine, because I am, I have my nails and I do my makeup,
Yeah.
I curl my hair and, wear high heels and bikinis and stuff. And there are different spectrums of femininity, and it goes down to like androgyny and then to like masculinity. And so if you're with somebody who's more butch, I guess, they're going to have more male traits than they do feminine, but at the same time, they still do have feminine traits. That's why people are like, well, why don't you just be with a man? Because it's not a man. still a woman, and or
Right,
it's still maybe they're not identified as women, but they still have that like emotional side or the ability to connect on an emotional level deeper than men can. But I've dated men who have the ability to connect on a deeper level. Those are the kind of men that I usually date. I like somebody who has emotional depth.
I don't know how to categorize myself. I guess there's so many different categories. I hate categorizing myself, but if I had to, like maybe I'd be like a hard femme, or I'd be like, because I like wearing makeup, but I don't consider myself like super femmy.
I think you'd be like just femme. You're not like high femme, you're femme.
Okay, I'm not high femme. I'm femme. Okay, so there's high femme, there's femme, and then
androgynous.
Okay, and then there's soft butch.
Yeah.
And then there's butch.
Yeah.
And then there's stud.
I guess there's so many terms, and people get offended when it's like one term and not the other. Right. It's just this whole other thing. I mean, it is. I have so much anxiety when it comes to that aspect of it. But just like when it's like, are you bisexual? Are you this? Are you that? And I'm still trying to work through that because it's
a really uncomfortable thing to have to define yourself and put yourself in a box, because then once you do it, it's almost like you can't go beyond that, or people are going to punish you, especially if you're in the public eye, if you do.
For me, I've always been really comfortable with my sexuality. And so it's interesting that after being in the public eye, what it did to me in terms of, my comfortability about talking about it,
Yeah.
and how hard it is for me to talk about it. And I don't like to talk about it. I really don't, because so many things happened on that show, and people are like, well, you said this, and then you said that, and then you did this. And people don't understand just how much goes into reality TV and how and I don't want to say it's a loose script that it's created by producers and we're kind of following it. We're not given a script and told to say this or that or this or that. That's not the point. The point is that, there's sound biting. They'll take something you said, a month before and then put it in a month later with a completely different situation. So, a lot of times they're putting words in your mouth and they're pinning people against each other, and they're just creating all this drama. And, for example, a conversation with Romy where, we had this whole like dynamic with each other that they pinned us against each other, and it was this whole ordeal. And then it could be like her doing something, and then it'll cut to me and it'll be like, bitch, they'll put that bitch in that, like, people, that's what's happening on television. So just know that, reality TV especially. So, but beyond fucking the PTSD that I have from being on that show, it's like what happened to me after, trying to be in real relationships with people, or people who think that they know who you are. People think that they know me, And
well, even me, girl, I met you after the reality show, and I felt like I watched the first season of The Real L Word, and I was like, this bitch, Sada. Like, I knew you from the show, but it was like, that was a job.
Yeah.
No, I don't know you, girl. And we've gotten to know each other, and it's completely different. I can see how people can think that they know you when they don't. It's so weird. Celebrity is very weird for that. It's very invasive.
Oh my God. I mean, it's like in the beginning when everything was happening, it was like, it was interesting at first when it all started, because I was hesitant. I didn't want to be on the show. I came to LA. I wanted to act, and I had a manager, and she was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But, I obviously started seeing somebody on the show, and then kind of like, was like, well, I'm just going to do it, But my issue with that now is like when I'm in relationships with people where their parents are involved, which I'm always like, please don't look me up. But of course they're going to look me up. And it's online forever, unfortunately. Yeah. But it's like having to explain myself, and I don't want to have to explain myself. Like, I like what I like, and I love people. It doesn't matter what your skin color is or what your gender is, anything of the sort. I'm just trying to explain that it has affected my relationships after the fact.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I am so excited to introduce you guys to a very dear friend of mine, Tragik, an artist, director, creative director, and DJ who recently started a music label called Club Inverted, and I'm a fan. Tragik, how are you dealing with this quarantine life?
Well, it's been very interesting. I think like some days I wake up, I'm super productive. I'm like up at 6 a.m., take my shower, make the coffee, I'm cleaning the house, working on whatever I can, and then by like 4 p.m. I crash. And I cry and I watch the news.
Oh,
and sometimes I catch Trump and I'm like, is this real? Are we living in a
Seriously.
simulated like world from a super AI computer in the future, and this is what they plan to do with us. Like, there's also a lot of times where you know I'm lucky to have a partner who's also creative, so we push each other. We're just like, you know what, today you're gonna go in our home studio, and I'm gonna go into where I work from, and we're just gonna do things all day, and then we'll meet up later.
Yeah, that's great.
And we get a lot of things
Right.
done. So, you know, some days it's all ups and downs, and I think a lot of people are feeling that, you know.
We're definitely all trying to acclimate to a different life.
Well, every week, every start of the week, usually on Sundays or Mondays, I put together a week plan. So for the whole week, I set various goals. I compartmentalize every single little thing that I have to do, including like take time to rest, take time
Yeah.
to eat, take time to cook, take time to clean. I've learned this from working from home for 15 years.
Can you tell us a little bit more about where you're from? Because I hear a little accent coming from you.
I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, at the end of a military dictatorship. So we had the opportunity to come here. I was a resident alien for about 15, 16 years of my life.
Wow.
So I lived as an immigrant. And it was really tough because, you know, I'm a light-skinned Latina. Like, I own it.
Yep.
Like, I understand and know my privilege. But I also had to learn another language coming here. And I never really fit in to any city that I was in because I didn't speak English. And I also didn't look... You know, I look like a white girl.
Yeah.
With my green eyes, you know, I'm just like, so moving here, I moved back and forth between my parents and I got into a lot of trouble. I really don't know why my life headed in that direction, but it was also the conditions of my environment.
Sure.
So I had hella different lives throughout the, you know, when I was growing
Conflicting.
up. I would live 2 years with him and then 2 years with her and then 2 years with him. Wow. And I lived in Chicago, in Texas, in Fresno, in Oakland, and, you know, San Francisco.
I feel like it's understandable. Like anytime that you got your bearings somewhere, it's like you were going somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think that it also exposed me to a lot of like disenfranchised, marginalized communities that needed the support. And so like it opened up this new like socialist kind of like world to me. I think that I tried really hard to fit in and I never really got it. You know? So in high school, when I was living in Chicago with my dad, I ran away for quite a while, and I met a bunch of people off the party line, and that was like my first exposure to lesbians. I learned about it through a chat room, right? Because I'm like 13 years old. I'm like, where do I meet girls who like girls? You know. And so I found out about this chat room. When I found out about that, I was like, you know what? I was living in Chicago at the time. I didn't feel like I like really connected with anybody, so I met up with a bunch of like older studs.
In Chicago, you still didn't know who you were. Like, you didn't realize, like, you didn't have your own identity figured out yet.
Yeah, I think it really takes understanding who you are first before you can really feel a sense of
connectedness.
Like, I'm free now, you know?
Well, I also feel like it's very much a journey. Cause like for me, when I got into the gay scene, I was like 18, 19, and I started going to the bars in the Castro and everything. And, you know, and it was the first community that I felt that I really wanted to be a part of. And then after a few years of exclusively dating women, I ended up sleeping with one of my guy friends, and then it became like a disaster in the lesbian scene, and everybody found out and called me a fucking breeder.
I mean, are we going to go into
full
passive like this lifetime because we can all write a book? I mean,
no, exactly. It changed me. You know what I mean? Like I thought I knew who I was, and then it changed again.
Yeah, and it always,
you know,
I feel like, you know, works of art, it would keep evolving, hopefully.
I will say that in the early 2000s, there was a lot of bias towards bisexual women that was like unneeded and uncalled for. Just checking and clocking people's like sexuality and how they kind of like gauge themselves in life. Like, it's no one's fucking business. You know what I mean? Like, as long as like you're honest with your partner.
If gender is fluid, then so is sexuality.
What I meant is like the younger generation now is becoming a little bit more open with, you know, bisexual women, queer women. Like,
I think so.
The fluidity is a lot, like when it comes to like the understanding, and in the younger generation, I feel like a lot of older lesbians, like who have been burned a million times, obviously, you know, can't let it go.
No,
just let it go.
It's definitely a struggle.
I feel like even women of our generation still struggle with it. Like, I feel like within my group of friends, we're very understanding. We're all very fluid. We're all, you know, we're not like, we don't define ourselves as like, I'm a lesbian or I'm bi or whatever. We just are who we are, right? But I feel like in a lot of heteronormative situations with a lot of my hetero friends who don't hang out with a lot of queer people, or people who are on the extreme end of their own sexuality and maybe put themselves in that box. Like, I just met a lesbian the other day who was like, oh, you trying to like out lesbo me? And I was like, what? What does that even mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like, maybe within our own communities, we feel that we're at home, but
I don't feel that at all. I feel like
you know,
we eat our own. And coming from a place where I am a well-recognized person in that community because of being on television, that there is the queer community, the gay, the lesbian, the trans, whatever, people want, you know, they say love is love. It is until there is a person of a different sexuality involved, and then love isn't love anymore. And people have a real issue with that. And for me, the reason why I've ever been as open as I am is because love is love, and it's about a soul. It's about a person more than it is anything else. And even getting involved in queer communities was because, like Flo, you know, I'm very much the kind of person that wants to see fairness and equality within communities. And I always felt like these people were underdogs. And the more friends that I made, the more that I felt like, why aren't these people able to get married? Why aren't we all able to have equal rights? That was a huge thing for me, you know, and it really made me want to immerse myself deeper into the community and figure out why. And also being immersed in the community, seeing that we're all the same. You know, we're all the same. We all want the same things. And it's sad that we spread so much hate in regards to that. I feel like love is fluid for everyone.
Mm-hmm. And I think that people are so concerned with other people's actions, and everyone is like always so highly opinionated, but they don't take the time to look at themselves or take the time to just actually exert love and positivity rather than, bias and judgment. And I think that that cycle continues with all of the reality show and the trash that we watch and the entertainment industry. Like, it's trash.
So Tragik, on top of being an artist, when you were just a teenager, you took part in programs for women, right?
The Center for Young Women's Development, they had helped me get a job at the DJ Project at Horizons in San Francisco, where I ran a program teaching audio production, music business, songwriting, DJing, and I convinced them to start all girls programming, so all female identified people to have their own 2-month session.
Rad.
And plus they were getting paid. Wow. So these are like 14 to 17-year-olds who are getting paid to learn.
You were just like evolutionary in the sense of creating all of these aspects for these women. Like, you create opportunities for them, like from beginning to end.
Well, I think it also helped me too, because we were like learning. I mean, although I was teaching, I was having to research everything I was teaching, right? So I'm exposing myself to understanding and learning while like giving this information out to other people my same age. I created a lot of like long-standing friendships with that program, and I was there for a couple years. Then I ended up getting a job at Homies in the Mission District, which worked with young people that were affected by the prison industrial complex. And I helped develop their silk screening business. So that's another thing that I learned was silk screening. And that's kind of like my start with like merchandise, was because I worked there. There's a lot of things we were doing in the community to help. And it taught me a lot working there for a few years. They ended up getting me a grant from the city. I think it was like $10,000. They were like, you know what? You need to blossom. You need to evolve. You need to grow. We love you. Like, here's this grant. Like, I volunteered a long time, and then I got a job with them, and then they gave me this grant. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I love photography. I love making merchandise. Like, so I was like, you know what? I want to get into video. So I waited in line to get me a ticket so that I could to be first in line to purchase the Canon 5D Mark II. So I was one of the first people in San Francisco to purchase that camera. And it was at a time where I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm just going to film my friends, put some pretty music over it. And Sada knows, because I've done a couple with her with that same camera. It's just like, you just come up with ideas and you're like, I don't know exactly what I want to do with this for my business, but I just know that I love seeing art in a captivating way that's like visually engaging and it's not just still. Like, so, I mean, also at the time my primary source of income was I was shooting rappers.
So how did you meet Sada?
So I ended up meeting Sada. I think it was like on MySpace or Facebook. I don't remember. So I moved to LA. I didn't have a plan. I actually moved into some really, really shitty studio in Koreatown. Or I didn't move into that. Actually, like, I went to go check it out because I saw it on Craigslist. I was like, I'm going to get it. I came and it was a shoebox. I literally walked in and it was like maybe 200 square feet. I was crying. I was like, I don't want to live here. And then like finally Sada like hit me up. She's like, hey, I need a roommate. It was like the day or two that I had just moved there. And I was like, oh shit. Yes. Like, I can afford this. So I ended up moving into Sada's apartment in Hollywood. And wow, one of the best times of my life living in Los Angeles was living with Sara. The real L word time. Like, I think I was exposed to a whole another community of people because I was living in so many different pockets of life and so many different communities. I was then exposed to like the LA West Hollywood like L word
The
scene
happening like LA.
The celesbians.
Yeah, like I was exposed to that world and the lesbian. Yes, thank you. That's a great way to put it. I was exposed to the lesbian world, and it was like I was also dealing with insecurities, body image issues, and like here I am amongst
the
like,
most beautiful
all
of
these,
the
like,
beautifuls,
models and like skinny fit, like everyone's like on TV perfect, and I'm like real Elwood would be filming in our room, and I'd be walking to the kitchen looking scrubby and crusty as fuck. Like, and I think that also really showed me how insecure I really was because I, in the Bay, if you're from the Bay, you live in the Bay, like you're always bundled up, you're always in layers. Until I moved to LA, and I'm going to these pool parties with Sada and all her friends. And they're like in bikinis, and I'm still wearing a hoodie.
You always
like
had
I'm
a
in
hoodie
San
on.
Francisco,
Always.
and I'm hot, and I'm like, it's cool. I got my drink. I'm sweating. The sun is out, and I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
Can you take the sweater off?
But I realized a big portion of my insecurity were my breasts, because I had really big breasts. I don't know, I think maybe it was like a 36C or D. I don't remember. I had really big breasts, and so I would like fucking strap them down with ace bandages. I had 2 sports bras.
How painful is strapping, like in real life, like strapping down your boobs? Is it painful?
I mean, it's painful if you do it in the sense where you're wearing so many layers of the strappage. I don't think I ever did like just one, like, hey, because I never had like a B cup or an A cup where I could just get away with one form of strapping. I would have to do so many different layers. At the end of the day, I would come home and I'd have like cuts on the side because it would be cutting in. It was bad. It was a bad time, and I was dealing with all of this privately. I don't think Sada ever really talked to you about that insecurity, until a few years later, I'd finally saved up for top surgery, and I went back to San Francisco and I got top surgery, and that was like, I was reborn. And I think meeting one of Sada's friends, Shiri, was kind of like my exposure to seeing a queer woman identifying as a lesbian, and having top surgery. Because at the time, I thought that like this was like almost 8-9 years ago that I had the surgery. I hadn't really met a lot of female identified queer people who got top surgery. Like that's kind of like a new thing now with like more genderqueer, non-binary people coming out.
I just want to explain something to our listeners, because I think that for us, it's really obvious what the difference between sexuality and gender identity is. But I think that for a lot of people, it's very confusing. It's like sexuality is who you fuck and who you're attracted to and who you're not attracted to. And gender identity is like, am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I trans? Am I it?
But once again, what you're feeling is completely opposite than another person is feeling. And both of those things are on full-blown scales, and they range from 0 to 100 and in between, and there's no actual way to define it. It's just so fluid.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is the actual fluidity of it, though. Yeah. Like I talk to a lot of like heteronormative people, or even people who are like just extremely gay and, are golden stars, have never had sex with a person of the opposite sex. And they're just like, I don't get it. Like, why does she identify as a woman, but then she got top surgery and doesn't have boobs anymore? Like, I don't get it. And I'm sure, Tragik, that you get that a lot. Just people not getting where the fuck you come from.
I mean, I get it. Obviously I get it to this day. When I first started putting out my journey, I started showing everything through Instagram, which was relatively kind of like a new app at that time. And I started posting kind of like my recovery process, everything up to it and then everything after. I just wanted to share it with the world. Or I got an email from Instagram, and they were really interested in my music and my story. But they said that after I did the interview, they called me back. They're like, hey, we can't publish your interview until you take down your journey of top surgery because you're showing your chest. So one of the things I said to them, I was like, I don't agree to taking this down, but I do feel like I want to have a conversation with your policy department. So they went back to their policy, and I don't know what specifically was changed, but they ended up publishing the interview. And they included the journey of top surgery, which was really great that they did that. And I haven't gotten censored since. As an artist, it's hard because you have to be a part of these platforms that are reaching these like large masses.
Or if you want to have that exposure and you want to get your voice out there, you have to go where the people are. And it's easy to say like we should just not be on that, but it's like if that's your livelihood,
your source of income, your livelihood,
I want to know more about this shit that you did with Sada.
One of the songs that I had was called Dirty Bitch, which featured Sada.
So fun.
It was a good time. We shot that all ourselves with the Canon 5D Mark II.
That was fun.
On a little tripod. And we asked the real L Word to come film. And that was a really interesting time because they ended up showing the whole video shoot and not featuring my song last minute. They changed out the song and I was so pissed. I was like, I'm never talking to you guys again. Meanwhile, they're in our kitchen. After that, I did a song with Grimes and Krayshawn. We formed a fake little punk band called LSD. We put out a song called Don't Smoke My Blunt Bitch, which went viral. Like, it was like the first, it was so funny because we did that song in literally 10 minutes. We made that song, and then the next day we made a video in like an hour. Like, it really took nothing, but it's so funny because I had worked so hard on all of my music prior to that for years and years and years, and never got the attention that I got until that song and video came out. Like,
Yep.
I know it's always like the shittiest fucking project that gets the most love, but it also got a lot of hate because it's a really shitty song. But I ended up touring the world with Krayshawn. She took me around the world with her. We went to Japan. We did a tour with Big Bang and 2NE1. I was just so grateful. So that was my first time touring the world. You know what I mean? Like, it was my first time seeing all of these cities and countries. And, you know, I just came back, kept doing music videos. And I did a 60-day juice fast, which was right before my top surgery. And that kind of like changed my life too, because, you know, not only having the top surgery, but having the dramatic weight loss. I was like, bitch, I'm a brand new person.
Amazing.
I can fit into a medium. Who would have thought I could fit into a medium, a small and a medium. But so I kept that weight off for 3 or 4 years because I was eating high protein diet. You know, I was eating I was eating vegan, a lot of vegetables and fruits. I was incorporating juicing still. I wasn't just like, you know,
wow.
I needed that. I lost about 56 pounds, the most weight I had ever lost. I was in the best shape of my life. I was going to the gym. I went to gym 5 days a week. I had a personal trainer. Like, I was feeling really good.
So then what happened? Why'd you stop?
What happened? Toxic relationships.
Of course.
I mean, not to blame anyone but myself, but, you know, through depression and anxiety, I like, for me, my vice is food. You know, I don't want people to think I'm like eating pizza or ice cream. Like, I just overeat.
Oh my God, thank God you're not in that relationship anymore. So wait, so let's fast forward, because now you're with the beautiful Jaywin,
Whom I love.
Then I met Jaywin, who is now the love of my life, who I'm engaged to. And I built a home studio as a gift to Jaywin last Christmas. But building the home studio, I really helped kind of figure out like how we can start this label, how we can build her as a brand, and to take this seriously to the next level.
I've noticed that aside from being an artist yourself, that you're really good at artist development.
Yes.
Right. So what is it that leads you in that direction? Do you think that you're, you know, like, okay, you see Jaywin and you see that this person is passionate and you want to help build her?
Yeah. No, that's absolute. I think that a lot of people do this, and myself included, where we put in our resources and our passion to our partners. But with this situation, that was very different from everybody else, is that we did this together from the get. And I understand the music business now in a sense that I never did before, where her project is my project. Now it's a part where whatever I helped develop with Jaywin is just as much Tragic as it is Jaywin. I'm still going to be a part of it in some way or another, whether as a manager or a creative director.
It's a business deal.
Yeah, I'm developing an artist, but there's ownership there where I'd never had that before. I think that this is the first time in my life where I finally have ownership over something that I'm developing with someone. And I think that's very important for people when they're coming across projects, that they have ownership to something.
Absolutely.
You know, whether that's through legal agreements or contracts, like verbal agreements don't mean shit. And people need to understand that.
They
don't mean anything.
Well, and also it's just, I think that what I'm seeing that you've learned, which is something that I've also had to learn too through the music industry and just every industry, and even in my personal relationships, is that you can be codependent and giving all your energy to everybody else all the time, and you can be of service to other people and you can love them wholeheartedly, but you can end up with nothing if you don't have the right boundaries. You know?
Exactly.
And it sounds like that's what you're really developing with Jaywin, and I'm so happy for you, because you're going to be able to reap the benefits of your relationship on every level, because you're actually setting boundaries and like making it a big business deal, and not just being like, I love you, babe.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you with all of this. Like, that's not enough. You know, you're going to come out of it. I did this in a relationship, in many of my relationships, where I gave everything to the other person, and then when I was like, wait a minute, what's left for me? There was nothing fucking left. And then the other person was like, you're abandoning me. And it's like, no, bitch, I am just trying to save some of my little crumbs of energy for myself.
I think too, Tragic, you've done this in other relationships, but like you said, for the first time. I think that you're taking all of the things that you've learned in your past professionally and are now using them in this moment, which is, like I said, we all stand in our own way. And right now, I think that what you're doing is awesome and you're going to thrive. This is exactly where you need to be in artist development and management. I believe in you and I'm so proud of you and I love you and I think you're amazing and I think Jay Win's the shit and you did a really good job.
I think that it's really a testament to how much you're taking all of your experiences and you're really molding them into one. I've really struggled a lot being an artist myself, that the artist community is always trying to put us in a box and be like, you're just a singer, you're just a DJ, you're just one thing. And it's like, I'm not. I'm so many of these other things. And when I was younger, I would say, oh, I'm an artist. Like, I'm not doing that business shit. I'm not doing that marketing shit. And I got to a point, I turned 25 and I was like, bitch, I better start fucking getting some work done because nothing's happening for me here, So it's like you learn from your experiences and you learn how you need to be multifaceted in this world and or have other people who are going to create those facets for you to push you in that direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you guys are absolutely right. Like, when I started creating music, Cleo, I only thought about creating. Yeah. I wasn't like, how is this a business? How am I going to grow this into a business? So it took me a long time to be like, it's not just about creating anymore. It's a whole nother world. When you're an artist and you're signed to a label, you're part of now a business. So it's not just you. Your brand and your name is now a business that other people are like shareholders. Right? So they're like, everyone is working towards this bigger concept, which is your brand.
You technically don't belong to you anymore when you sign to a label. You are just a part. You are just a representation of whatever else is going on. Yeah. And all these other little pieces are actually making it possible for you to get heard by all these people, for you to go to the right shops and the right places to get seen. You know, and I think that artists don't understand that. For a lot of artists don't understand that. They'll get together with a producer and how many times do I hear at the end of the project when there was no agreement that it's like, oh, but this is my project because I'm the artist. And it's like, bitch, no, like you had a producer do this and you had a manager do this. Like it doesn't belong to you,
Yeah. I think when I was younger, remember when I was saying that I was teaching at the DJ project, I had that mindset. I was like, it's so fucked up that artists get like the last piece of the pie. I didn't see it the way I see it now. Right. Now that I'm doing 30 roles for my partner, and I'm like, I'm spending 100 hours a week on separating all of these different roles to help her. Then I'm like, now this makes sense. Yeah. Because now I'm seeing it like,
it's a lot of work.
Comes in. My roles that I'm doing, there's 30 people for me somewhere else.
You're doing all of it.
How the fuck am I doing all of this shit? This is
you're
crazy.
Superhuman. People also, let's not forget about you as an artist because you're awesome and you've created a lot of staples in music. And I feel like you've changed a lot in the genre that you've created. What is coming up next for you when it comes to music? Because people are asking. People want to know.
Like everything that we've done is building to this company that I started for Inverted, for Club Inverted. So now that eyes are on this, I'm inspired to release my music again, right? So before I was sitting on years of unreleased music. I have like a whole catalog of music I never released. And now I'm like, Jaywin and Inverted, and now this next artist that I'm bringing on, we've been getting so much press, we've been getting so much love that I'm like, you know what? I'm inspired. Last night we were up till 4 a.m. Jaywin and we made a song together. So we have I had a song already written. I had her do a verse on it, and her verse killed it. Like I was like, this shit just brought it to the next level. So we're gonna release that. Yay! I recently put up for 420. I put out the video that I did with Grimes and Krayshawn, "Don't Smoke My Blunt, Bitch," and it got so much love. It went viral again, like 8 years later on Twitter. It just like flew off the rails, and I didn't realize how much that song resonated with people and their feeling of nostalgia for that era. So LSD, "Don't Smoke My Blunt, Bitch" is gonna be out on Spotify in 2 weeks on May 1st. So everybody make sure you go to all your streaming services, whatever you use, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever, it's going to be on there. Jaywin has like 4 or 5 singles that she's already completed during quarantine that are crazy. Like I'm telling you, y'all thought her music last year was good, like crazy. We want to shoot that in the Bay when that comes out. I just brought on a new artist, which I'm really excited about. Her name is Louie Elser. So every year I try to take on somebody and figure like, how do you need help, right? So there's nothing in it for me at this point, but I want to be able to know that although I'm doing all these projects, I'm still helping someone that needs it.
It's an investment too,
So I'm excited for that. For Jaywin, we put out Right Now last year, which is her first single. It just hit 100,000 streams on Spotify. So wrapping up, I think you'd just focusing on Inverted, on my projects, releasing my music finally.
Tragik,
You know.
you are literally the definition of hustle. Like I think
Straight up.
so what inspires me so much about you is just like the different layers of where you come from. Like from being uprooted at such a young age, you were lacking this sense of community and belonging. And I feel like so much of your life has been about getting back to that and finding community. Like you're just always talking about jumping from one place to the other, from one community to the other, to building communities and like leaving in your wake just like all of these connections. And then, but then at the same time, like struggling with your outer insecurities, with your physical insecurities. And it's just, you know, there's so many layers to all of it. And I think that everyone can take so much out of just staying inspired and staying driven. Because I think a lot of people don't have that drive.
I was just talking to the Louie, who's the other artist on Inverted, last night because she was feeling lost and feeling like a lot of her colleagues or her peers are becoming successful, and she's only like 24, 25. And I was telling her, I was like, you know what? I'm 35. Everything that's happened to me up until this point, I should be bitter as fuck because I've helped so many people who then just like left me behind. But I told her, I was like, it's not about concentrating on other people's journeys. It's about enjoying your journey and knowing that you have a purpose that's specifically your purpose. So like, instead of concentrating on other people's accomplishments, just know that every day you do something like that is an accomplishment. Every day that you survive and you live and you're happy and you're productive, like, or even if you're not, and if you're focusing on your mental health, like you have a purpose. Yes. Everyone here has a purpose. Like having existential crises, like is something that I deal with all the time. And so many people do probably like, why am I here? What the fuck? Does anybody care? You know, sometimes I know you guys probably feel it. We'll work so hard on something. We'll put it out and it doesn't get the engagement that we thought it was going to get. And so we're like, damn, should I even continue doing this? Does anybody care? And then you get those beautiful messages from people who take the time to tell you like, hey, like I was feeling suicidal and this song or this project, like you made me feel like I could, like those little like DMs or messages or emails that I get, like all of those accumulate into something that's huge. And to me, like, it's not just like, oh, here's like another fan letter, or here's like another supporter, like, I try to take the time to respond to every single person that hits me up, like, as long as I can, you know what I mean? Like, you're affecting lives, whether it's through 500 or 1,000, it doesn't matter. Like, you're still, like, lives, there's no value on one life. So
even one,
there's no,
even
like,
one is amazing, you know?
That's what I mean. Like, the value, there's no value to it.
I was just going to say, Tragik, you really are an extremely thoughtful person. And knowing you for as long as I have, I can come to you for anything, you know? So I need you to know that aside from all of the professional things that you bring to the table, you also have a part of yourself that is emotional and sensitive and loving and caring. And at the end of the day, that's, to me, the part that means the most. You're an incredible friend and human. And I love that you put so many people above yourself, that you care so much about the community, that you care so much about people. You really are a genuine human, and I love you. So thank you for just the impact that you've had on our community and everybody around you. You're a beacon of hope.
Congratulations, you made a
I love you. I know that's hard to do.
You're right. Like, the things that we leave behind are how we treat each other. And that's the most important, regardless of what we do.
Absolutely.
Like, I was telling Jay when I was the other day, I was like, who gives a fuck about all this shit? Time we die, like, people are just going to have memories of us, how we treated them, like, our friendships, our love, our parents, like, our families. And, you know, maybe we put it like a masterpiece that lasts for generations, like, maybe, but maybe not. And what are we going to leave behind? We're going to leave how we treated people. So I definitely appreciate you and appreciate both of you guys for bringing me on and helping share my story.
I love you guys.
Love you guys.
Let's virtually hug each other.
Cry. Oh my God. It's the perfect time. I'm about to get my period. I'm going to start crying too.
Tragik, go ahead and give everybody your socials so that they can follow you.
Oh, so you can follow me on Instagram at Tragik. That's Tragik. That's K, not C, people. So
Tragik with a K.
Tragik with a K. TikTok is Lady Tragik. My website is ladytragik.com. My company is clubinverted.com. And you can follow my artists at Jaewyn, JAEWYNN, and Louis Elser at Louis Elser.
Please follow us on our social medias. You can find me, Sada, at SADASIMONE.
And you can find me, Kimmy, at King Cleo. That's King Klio, and at kingcleo.com.
Thanks for not sucking, guys.
We love you.